Have you ever felt that little friction, that feeling you're hitting a kind of ceiling with your automation tools? Like,
Yeah.
they're amazing, right? But sometimes they can't quite do that one specific thing you need, that custom bit. Beyond the standard blocks, it feels like there's something more powerful hidden away, maybe. A secret weapon.
That secret weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly what we're digging into today. Welcome, everyone, to the deep dive. I'm actually really excited about this one. We get to unpack something super powerful.
Today, we're taking that deep dive into the N8N code node, which, let's be honest, for a lot of folks, it kind of looks like this. Complex, maybe even intimidating code thing inside a platform that's otherwise pretty friendly.
Oh, totally understandable. It does look a bit scary from the outside, right?
Yeah.
But our mission today is simple. Pull back that curtain. Make it clear. We want to show you how this thing that seems like a big programming hurdle is actually, well, it's a clear path to doing some seriously next-level automation. We're going to cover, like, handling tricky data, calling other services, processing big batches of stuff, and even, creating your own files right inside N8N. It's way more doable than you might think.
Okay, let's unpack that. But because it is a common thought, I've definitely felt it myself, that the code node is, strictly for the super hardcore programmers, the ones who just breathe JavaScript. Has that vibe, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Makes you hesitate, maybe click something else instead. But here's the kicker, the really interesting part. You can get the basics down surprisingly fast, like really fast, a focused afternoon maybe, just to get the core ideas. And once you do, oh man, it completely unlocks what N8N can do. Think about other platforms like Make or Zapier. Great tools. But they just don't offer this level of custom logic, this deep dive into manipulating data. The code node pushes N8N way beyond those limits. You can do complex data transformations, call external APIs in real time, process huge amounts of info, generate custom files, reports, data exports, whatever. It turns the N8N from just an orchestrator into a real data processing engine.
That sounds like it could really, revolutionize how people use it. So fundamentally then, how does it actually process the information? Is it looking at things one by one or the whole lot together?
That's the beauty. It's flexible. It can handle items individually, like processing each order separately, or it can look at the entire batch, the whole collection, as one single unit.
That flexibility, that sounds key for different kinds of problems. Now, to really get a handle on this, I imagine setting up a little sandbox, a practice area, is probably the way to go.
Oh, absolutely. Best way to learn is just jump in. Fire a blank workflow in N8N. So for our example, let's imagine you've got some sample order data. Picture it like a JavaScript array. Basically a list, right? A list of product objects. What's an object? Think of it like a digital box for each product, laptop, mouse, whatever. And inside that box are details like price, quantity, maybe customer email. Now, a key thing is understanding how to handle that list. Do you process each product one at a time or all together? N8N actually has a node called split out that does exactly that, breaks the list into individual items. But, and this is cool, the code node can also do that splitting internally if you want. More control. Exactly. So the code node basically has these two main ways it operates. The first is run once for each item. That's the default. It processes each item, each product in our list, totally on its own. The second mode is run once for all items. This one treats everything together as one big list, one array. When you first add a code node, it actually gives you a little snippet of code already. Super simple. Just adds a field called myNewField to show you how it works, how it outputs data.
Okay. So let's make it concrete. A practical example. How about calculating a line total, price times quantity for each product, and maybe extracting just the domain name from an email address, like getting example.com from someone at example.com.
Perfect examples. Everyday stuff where the code node is brilliant. So first, you need the data for the current item. You use input.item.json. That basically tells the code node, get me the data for this specific item right now. Calculating line total, easy peasy, just price quantity, basic math. Now, the email domain. That's where you use string manipulation. JavaScript has tools for this, methods like substring and indexof. Think of indexof as asking, where's the @ symbol? It gives you the position. Then substring says, okay, give me everything after that position. Together, they let you snip out just the domain. But here's something really important, especially when you're starting out. The spread operator. Those 3 dots, .order item. This little trick says, keep all the original data from this item and then add my new line total and customer domain fields. And if you forget it, poof, all your original data disappears and you only get the new fields. Common mistake.
I gotta admit, I still wrestle with remembering all those specific string methods myself sometimes when I'm actually writing the code. It's a small thing, but it can trip you up.
Oh, you're definitely not alone there. It really just comes with doing it more. But the key is knowing that these tools exist and roughly what they do, so you know what to look up or, ask an AI helper about. So, okay, we've done things one by one, but what about looking at the whole picture, the entire data set? How does it handle that collection all at once?
Right, it shifts into that bash mode, viewing all the items together as one big array, like going from single letters to reading the whole page.
And this is where it gets seriously interesting. This is where you unlock stuff that's frankly much harder or impossible in other tools. I'm talking about the code node's ability to directly call external APIs. This is huge. It turns N8N into this amazing hub that can pull in data from, well, practically anywhere on the web that offers an API.
That really does set it apart, doesn't it? Grabbing external data on the fly, that's a massive potential.
It's absolutely massive. Imagine you have your product data, right? And you want to enrich it by getting, say, barcode info from a free API like world.openfoodfacts.org. You just use your product ID. Now, in the code for this, you'll see keywords like async and await. These are super important for things that take time, like waiting for an API response. Think of async as telling your workflow, hey, this next step might take a while, don't just freeze up. And await is where you actually say, okay, pause here and wait for this specific thing to finish, like waiting for a download. LANN helps a lot here with a built-in helper. This.helpers.http request makes calling APIs much simpler, no need for extra libraries. You'd also want to check the response.status, basically. Did the call work? Did the server respond okay? And crucially, never ever put your secret API keys directly in the code. Use N8N's credentials feature. Always. It keeps them safe. Think of it like a password manager for your workflows.
Whoa, okay, just thinking about that, imagine scaling that, integrating with like dozens of different services all at once, pulling in real-time data for really complex decisions. It's not just moving data around anymore, is it? It's like building a live intelligence system.
Exactly. Imagine an e-commerce setup pulling real-time shipping rates from 5 carriers, checking inventory levels across 3 warehouses, maybe factoring in current promotions, and then deciding the absolute best way to fulfill an order all before the user even finishes checkout. That's the kind of dynamic smart stuff this unlocks. It's way beyond simple triggers and actions. So, okay, we've looked at individual items, enriched them with APIs. But what if you have thousands, hundreds of thousands of items? You need the big picture, right? Beyond individuals, how do we summarize everything?
That sounds like the perfect job for batch processing, right? Crunching all that data together for the aggregate view.
Precisely. That's where the run once for all items mode is king. You just toggle a setting in the node, and suddenly instead of input.item for one thing, you get items, which is an array, a list, holding all your input data. If 100 orders came in, items has all 100. So now you can easily calculate things like total revenue across all orders, or total items sold, or even create a more complex category report, so having up sales per category. A really useful pattern here is of an items.map, item.json. .map basically lets you loop through the list and pull out just the data you need from each item. And then the JavaScript reduce method becomes your best friend. It's like the ultimate tool for boiling down a list. Want to sum up all the numbers? Count items by category.reduce is perfect. It takes your whole list and processes it down to a single summary value or object. Just one little detail to remember. When you return data in batch mode, the final output needs to be an array containing just one object that holds your summary results, like putting your final report in a single folder.
Okay, so we've processed everything, got our summaries, but what about getting that information out? Like, into a format we can use elsewhere? Can the code node actually create files?
Yes, it absolutely can. You can generate custom files directly from your processed data.
Now that is seriously impressive. Making files CSVs, JSON, maybe even a formatted HTML report right inside the workflow. That's not just processing data, it's producing results.
It's a total game changer, yeah. So let's say you took those stats we calculated in batch mode and you want an HTML report. How do you do it? First, you grab the data from the previous node. Let's say that node was named calculate stats. You'd use something like calculate stats.item.json to pull its output into your current code node. Simple reference. Then you build your HTML. The best way is using template literals. Those are strings using backticks instead of quotes. They make it super easy to embed your data right into the HTML text, like mail merge almost. Finally, you need to package it up. Use buffer.from to turn your text into binary data, and then this.helpers.prepare binary data. Think of these helpers like putting your report in a digital envelope, labeling it with a file name like report.html, and specifying the MIME type like text.html. What's a MIME type? It just tells the computer what kind of file it is, HTML text, a JPEG image, etc., so it knows how to open it. The key thing for file output is the return structure. You need a JSON property for metadata and a binary property holding the actual file content.
Okay, that covers the core capabilities, from single items right through to making files. That's a lot. Let's shift gears slightly. Advanced techniques, best practices. What's maybe the number one thing people miss when they start using this more seriously?
Error handling. Easily. Hands down. Look, APIs fail sometimes. Networks glitch. Data might not be what you expected. You absolutely need to wrap code that might fail, especially those API calls in what's called a try.catch block. If you don't, one little hiccup can crash your whole workflow. With try.catch, if an error happens in the try part, the catch part runs instead. You can log the error, maybe send a notification, return a default value. It keeps things running smoothly. It's crucial for reliability. Performance tips. Definitely use batch mode, run once for all items, for large data sets if you can. Fewer executions is faster. If you are looping through lots of API calls, add a small delay between them. Like, wait half a second, seriously. It stops you hitting rate limits and getting blocked by the API provider. Happens more than you think. And, oh, keep your code nodes focused. If one starts doing too much, split the logic into 2 or 3 smaller nodes, way easier to debug and manage later, like breaking down a big project.
And speaking of debugging, how do you actually see what's going on inside the code while it's running? How do you peek under the hood?
Good old console.log. It's simple, but it's effective. You can put console.log some variable anywhere in your code. When the workflow runs, whatever you logged shows up in the N8N Developer Tools panel or the server logs. Perfect for checking variable values, seeing if code paths are being hit, just understanding the flow. And one last thing, don't shy away from using AI assistants like ChatGPT or Claude. Seriously, give them good context. Here's my code, here's the input data structure, I want to achieve X, and they can often spit out really useful code snippets. Generative AI just means AI that creates stuff like code. They won't replace understanding why it works, but man, they can speed things up.
That's all really solid advice. Okay, so boiling it all down, if there's one single most important thing for someone listening right now, just starting with the code node, what should they remember? What's the core message?
Start simple. Don't try to boil the ocean on day one. Build up complexity gradually. And just practice, tinker, experiment.
So wrapping up this deep dive, we've really explored how getting comfortable with the N8N code node genuinely transforms the platform. It elevates it, doesn't it? From a straightforward automation tool to something much more like a powerful, flexible engine for data processing and complex workflow orchestration. It's a real step up.
Absolutely. And we hit the 4 key pillars, right? Handling individual items, bringing in external data via APIs, crunching numbers in batch mode, and even generating custom output files. It truly is that secret weapon for tackling those more advanced automation challenges that used to feel out of reach.
The only way to really internalize this, though, is by doing. So we really hope you'll open up N8N maybe right after this, start a blank workflow, and just play around. Try it with some data you have. Don't worry about getting it perfect immediately. Just experiment. Breaking things is part of learning here.
Yeah, totally. Remember, the code node isn't just another node on the canvas. It's more like a gateway. A gateway to, well, pretty much unlimited potential in your workflows.
Yeah.
Your imagination really does become the main constraint.
And as you start experimenting, maybe think about this. What's one repetitive, data-heavy task you deal with regularly? Something tedious, maybe. How could applying even a little bit of custom logic with the code node to that one task fundamentally change how you work or free up significant time? What could that unlock for you?
Go build something awesome. OTRO music.